rocky road at times, but we've worked very hard to get to where they are right now, and we couldn't be happier. There are a lot of people to thank for that, and I want to mention in no particular order. Kevin Darling and Marcia, Bert Schneider, Scott Griefentron, and some Second City software programs, including Mike Dunby, Mike Knudsen, also especially Mike Collins, who has done a real nice job doing support, system support software, including a CDFX library for our system. Dave Bauer, Kevin Peace, Rich Bartels, who's on the backplate, Kevin Peace is on the system, my good partner Mark Sheffield, who has had about as little sleep over the last year as I have, and Mary Kay Legline, who's our sales director, and Brett Wine, who's one of our new developers, doing some Unix strategizing for us. That is my thank yous, and now introduce Lee Taylor. He, over the last 2 years, has been working at Hunter Systems, which one of my competitors is something called Ready Systems, and Colin Hunter, who is part of Ready Systems, established an organization that has a product that Lee's head salesperson for in the DC office. He also works with Santa Cruz operations and Unix stuff, and he's also with a database firm called Lee. He's been using the Silicon Valley for 8 years. He has a master's in computer science, an MBA, and a master's in industrial engineering operations research, and a bachelor's in engineering. And with no further ado, I can introduce to you, it's my pleasure to introduce you, Lee Taylor.
What I want to talk about was some of the issues that have come up and really focused on products. I think part of the thing that people need to look at is that everybody has lived in the evolution of the color computer and seen both the positives and the negatives as it become mainstream and yet was extremely functional. Was how in your next purchase do you keep the strengths but don't get yourself boxed in a corner again. And I think that really makes a point that the decision people are looking at is where do I go run the color computer today as the next step is not just a product decision, but really a technology and an architecture decision as far as what things should I do that will ensure that you stay in the mainstream of functionality, not necessarily in the mainstream of mass marketing, which may be MS-DOS. Because the thing that excited me about the color computer and the things that Paul has done and the things that the other people are doing here is that under the covers of the machine is this small, multi-user, multitasking operating system that's real-time. Well, Unix does two of those things. It's multi-user and multitasking, but it's certainly doesn't have real-time, although people are trying to retrofit that on there at the expense of making it even bigger. The trick is to take these strengths and these attributes that people have used, the real-time, the multi-user, the multitasking, and embed those in an architecture that you can move forward with to take you to the areas of multimedia, hypermedia, what a lot of people are calling ubiquitous computing, which is the ever-present computing, the fact that you've got this information access device that's with you and is multimodal and has multiple levels of connectivity to always get you to the information that you need. The trick is to do those things in an environment that also reflects that you've got distributed computing and cooperative computing. Your computer is not just an island and you've got something stronger than a sneaker net to make it. Okay. So the thing that I would ask people to think about is technology versus just a product.
I really would rather do this sitting down, but I had great plans to prepare this, type it all up, proofread it. Didn't do any of those things while Paul was talking and made some notes. Hey, it's something, you know. Most of you know who I am. I've been around forever, but I would like to give you some history, and I thought I'd pass on a couple little things that you don't know about that are kind of interesting. We started back in the computer part of the business in 1980. We started in business in 1976. And in 1980, when we first started selling software and hardware for, at that time, the 6800 to 6809 running Flex. At the first show down in Philadelphia in July of 1980, Ken Kaplan, who's the president of Microware, came to us and sold us a bill of goods on this new operating system that he was working on called OS9. And at that time, we were just a bunch of hobbyists doing this for business so we could deduct our computers as a tax write-off. and the offer of free software was too good to pass up. So we got hooked on OS9 back in 1980 and started developing software for it. And I think that I could probably say without hesitation that we were the oldest supporter of OS9 in the world. I don't know of anyone who's been around longer than we are because OS9 hasn't been producing it that much longer. In a couple of years later, when we first came out with Flex for the Color Computer 2, some of you may remember that, this is a piece of information that nobody knows about, and the only reason I'm talking about it now is because of the situation with Tandy getting out of the color computer market. Ken Kaplan again came to me, and he was a little concerned that Flex was going to take over the 6809 market, and OS9 was going to be left behind. We had done Flex at that time with a high-resolution screen and support for all types of disk drives, and he asked us to do the port of OS9 for level 1 for the color computer. We started doing it, had advertisements in Interface A, you can go back and check this if you'd like, about OS9 for level 1, and then for some strange reason it became very difficult to get a hold of Ken for a month or so. And I began to wonder what was going on, wishing I'd had a contract and various other things. When Ken finally called me, he told me that he got a license with Tandy for OS9 and asked if I would acquiesce and put him out of our agreement. Considering everything we're writing, I figured, well, what the hell? What else could I do? It may be better for the market if we did that. It's unfortunate. I didn't know at the time they were going to do such a lousy job on OS9, and we probably would have continued on with it. There's been some articles that I've done in Rainbow in the past that got me in a little trouble about what they finally do with OS9 level 1. But at any rate, shortly after that, in 1984, Mike Smith and Dave Bridger from Hazelwood Computer contacted me about a computer board that they'd done called the Uniquad board. This was a single board computer that, just for comparisons, is exactly this size. It was a 68008 with 128K of RAM and came with OS9 and some other software. And he wanted us to market it, put it in a package, and sell it. And that was the birth of the QT computer line and our first entry into 68,000 computers. Back then, there was even less software available for OSK than there is today, and we had a pretty lonesome chore finding developers and people to do software. We provided computers to people like MPE, do Sculptor, and I believe they still do the development of Sculptor and updates on that original Q2. Think so? So that back then, when there was nothing, we had conversations with Foxbase and all these other companies who were doing software for Unix to bring software to OSK, and if we had an awful lot of money, we would have had an awful lot of software here today. It's nice to see finally that some other people are coming in and building on the foundation that we built, and hopefully bringing more software to OSK. It's also interesting to note that probably the bulk of the software that is available today for OSK was either developed on a QT or on a Hazelwood-based computer, and very little of it on anything else. So again, it's nice to see something else coming along. Recently, we've done some new things that many of you have seen to come up to our booth. We're doing now the TC9. We had that in production, the TC7. Am I running out of time? Am I out of time? 1 minute. Okay, well, I would like to make an announcement of something that we've just done with the TC7. Rather than the TC9, I'll let you ask questions. We just recently got a really nice sale. It kind of gives you a warm, fuzzy feeling. With a company that we work with in Florida, we sold 2 Tomcat computer systems based on the TC70. One of them is going over to Kuwait and will be used to control materials handling and take care of acquisition and supply, part of an $18 million contract, one of the 6 companies that's being commissioned by Kuwait to help out the oil partners. And we feel kind of good about it. It's a nice thing. And I'll let it go from there. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.